welcome to our podcast. Welcome. It's Two Women in a War Room. Yeah, welcome.
Welcome to the podcast. This is Two Women in a War Room. Back at it again with your two hosts, Alyssa and Nicole.
I think that was funny until you said
Hello?
Two good women here.
Mayday. Hello?
Hello.
It is I, Alyssa.
Good woman 1 and good woman 2.
We in the studio.
Yay! Big shout out to our man,
In the background. He's behind the camera in the studio.
In the studio.
Exactly. In the studio. We have a recording of that somewhere. I'm not sure where, but it's somewhere. We have some good topics today that we'd like to touch on. A few from people we know personally.
Feel free to leave your comments below after this if you want us to touch on anything that you're dealing with in the workplace. Today, we're gonna jump right into it. Talk about different personalities you can deal with in the workplace. If it's your coworker you don't like hearing talk about certain subjects, if it's your boss you just don't know how to communicate with, if it's humor you just can't relate to, clients who maybe don't have any touch of humor at all.
Yep, very dry. Cut and dry, like a saltine cracker.
Sahara Desert, maybe. I spoke with a client today and she was super fun and super bubbly and she was really easy to relate to, and you kind of feed off of the energy that you get from people. We had a really, really good conversation because our energies just connected. As soon as I saw her pop up on the camera, she was wearing this big fluffy jacket that had like rainbows all over it and sparkles. So that was, I kind of lucked out on that one. As soon as the camera turned on, I was like, yes, we're gonna connect.
We love to see it.
But you know, that's not the case for everyone. So if you are perhaps maybe dealing with someone who is very straightforward with you, maybe we like to call those people kind of red. If you didn't know, sometimes people have colors associated with their personalities and how they communicate and speak, and being able to connect those personalities with the colors, learning that and knowing when that's being portrayed by someone kind of allows you to respond in the correct way. Alyssa.
Kind of touching on that, when you are dealing with clients or customers or bosses or people who you kind of have to not tiptoe around but have to deal with in a professional manner, it's very difficult to navigate through that. Kind of being able to determine you go with it or you kind of have to put somebody in their place is two completely different things. That's kind of something we've talked about too, is like being able to feel comfortable with your decisions and being confident in your decisions in order to know, discern, determine how you should speak to somebody depending on how they speak to you. They're just straightforward and they're just obviously not having a very good day. You can just let bygones be bygones, kind of navigate through that, figure it out, because the likelihood of them just having a bad day is very, very likely. There's a few chances where some people are just not nice at all.
We call those people Karens.
We should have a men term for that. Mike.
Yeah. Mike's, I don't know if that's the right one. We'll think on it. Either or, you get those people who are not having it. I call it blinded by hatred sometimes, or blinded by anger, and they really just need a moment. Sometimes it can be really hard to really just put your foot down and be like, listen, I cannot talk to this client right now. Have their moment to sort through their feelings, maybe take a day. And I'm sure I felt it before. I've been so angry where you just put on these blinders. There's no way you're gonna get through to that person. You just have to take it. I'm not gonna let this escalate. Nothing I'm gonna say to this person is gonna make sense to them right now. Revisit it in a little bit, maybe in a different way. If you're talking on the phone a lot or texting someone, having that face-to-face interaction helps. I've noticed the blinders come on a lot more often when you're texting versus in person, face-to-face. I think it's also just harder to be mean to someone when you're actually looking at them. As awful as it sounds, it's true.
At that point, if you're over the phone or if you're texting, it's almost like somebody isn't on the other line because you don't see them, you can't be in their presence, whatever. Like you said, you have to consider that, you know, that person isn't necessarily frustrated at you. You're just the only person who has to filter that part of them.
Not saying that's an excuse though.
No,
not at all.
But I'm saying that they are more likely like that because they're frustrated with their service or they're frustrated with other things outside of just you. And you have to understand that it's not about you. It's never personal, it's always business. Once you have that mentality, it's a lot easier to figure out how you're gonna deal with it rather than being like, this is a personal attack. Suck at my job. No, you don't. You do not suck at your job. You're not bad at customer service most of the time. It's kind of just what you're dealt. You have to deal with because that's the position that you're put in.
And a lot of that just takes time to learn and grow mentally. I was like, how do these people do it? How do they interact with these customers and not just break down in tears afterwards? And there'd be some days where I was at work and I just literally have to go into the back and just cry because I felt so frustrated and felt like everything was my fault whenever a customer was mean. A lot of that had to do with the work environment and the place I was at the time, not here, previous job, but being surrounded by people who will support you in those situations and really tell you like, hey, it's not your fault, give that person some time and be able to support you in handling that if you don't have the time to learn it yourself or you don't have beautiful ladies like Alyssa and I to teach you the ways.